Hi, everyone. This is Caprice. Nice to meet you. I think when we're coming to ancestry, we all have our own paths and our own reasoning and our own journey to get here. Mine was not for the discovery of family in the sense, but because I was following God's message for dealing with my baby daddy who decided he wanted to pay off paternity tests so that he wouldn't be listed as the father of his own child. And I remember sitting here, I quite often follow God's advice and guidance. And God was like, just enough money had come in to take care of this ancestry test. And I was like, order this. I was like, okay. So I ordered it and it got here and God was like, take it to this post office specifically. So I drove out my way to go drop it off. Well, after I had dropped it off and I was waiting for the test results to come back, I spoke with my father about our bloodline, trying to figure out who we were. Um, this was a great bonding moment for me and my father because we had just gotten back on the mends of our relationship, being able to be in a space where we could talk to each other versus being frustrated with one another. And a lot of that came to being able to let go of the past or let go of people's choices and choose not to discuss them or even bring them to the table and just choose to love one another. And that was a big thing for me and my father.
So you had that going on too. Yeah, I had that going on with my mom. As much as I love my mother, love her to death. Like, I was a mama's boy till I was 15. Like, when I became an adult, we had these fights or arguments, and I'm coming into my adulthood and realizing, hey lady, I ain't got to follow your lead no more. I ain't got to listen to you. So we would these spats and we would go a while without talking, and then we would talk, and it was all good. But yeah, we had spats too.
Well, with my father, a lot of our spats dealt with the raising between having two parents in a household that didn't get along with one another. And so literally being able to pull my parents' relationship out of my relationship with my father shifted the whole dynamic of my relationship with my father. And led to a more healthy relationship between the two of us. So it started leading to a more healthy him for a while, before my sister got to him. But it's like you get here and you're like starting to understand these links about the family. We were discovering things about the family we didn't even know. So we have a lot of family, and our family has done really, really great things. But nobody in the family talks, and that's always been the question of the cousins. Why doesn't anybody talk? And some cousins are very, very upset about it. Like my cousin Skipper, my father's first cousin on his father's side, and he's been very upset about the whole thing. And like I tell cousin Skipper, I'm like, I'm not them. I don't know what's happened. I can only be me. So I can't meet you where you want to be met, but I can meet you where I can't meet you. And so I've been kind of trying just to grow my cousin relationships from this point of whatever the feud was between everybody. And I had heard simple little rumors around different sections, but never got the full understanding of what was going on. The elders were very quiet about stuff. But for my father and I, we were discovering roots all the way back to the Civil War era, on his father's side. But we hadn't really gone down the Bailey side at that point in time. Kind of had my fill of the Baileys from interacting with a few of them with my grandmother when my grandmother was alive. And so it wasn't really a big choice for me to want to go down that way or really even want to know anybody down that way. But learning about my father's side, I was learning that my father's brother, so my grandfather's brother, he had an American Legion named after him, and that was pretty cool. And then to find out like my great grandfather was in the Civil War, and was one of the biggest reasons that Pottstown, Pennsylvania actually has a cemetery for what they said colored folk back then, even though that's not what we are, but that was the term that was used back then. So we were learning all this prestige. His house is still standing. It's a museum exhibit. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Why doesn't anybody rejoice in this? And my grandfather was a 33rd in the Masons. He was a Buffalo Soldier. He received an award from the city of Tucson for his services and the World Wars. And, we weren't there to celebrate it. My part with everything in the family is like we have these accomplishments, but the people are not there to celebrate each other. And that was a really big thing for me. As I got further into the journey, I found out that I was related to my daughter on both sides, meaning I'm related to her father. And I think this is one of the other dividing factors of what it means to be Black in America. We don't know each other. And the more we don't know each other, the more we have the ability to find a relative that we didn't know we were related to. And while according to the South, third cousins, it's okay to handle your business with, finding out that you're related to the parent or, the child's parent is like a whole other situation. And luckily we're fifth cousins, so I'm not too far out the spectrum of life. However, it's been very helpful and to narrow things down. For somebody who's trying to avoid child paternity, I can now call all these people without harassment because they're actually my cousin. I'll be like, hey, cousin, what's up? And they're like, well, you can go, but it works itself out. So it's kind of my introductory to ancestry. And as I was scrolling through things, I came across Cousin Charles, and I knew nothing about him. And I was trying to figure it out. And I started asking a bunch of people that we had matches on that we were related to, like, did they know who he was? And I wasn't getting any response. And some years went by. And at one point, I wondered if maybe he was the off child of my father somewhere. Did I have, I'm going through at this point, when I'm really getting into the ancestry, my father had been murdered by my sister and my mother. And his mother was murdered by my sister and my mother as well. And so I was going through a lot trying to deal with that. And I'm still in the middle of probate, actually. And I wanted to make sure we didn't have any, other siblings out there that I needed to account for during this process. And so I was really, really hoping to be able to have Charles speak to me. And then, blessings are that, no, he's not a half sibling. My father doesn't seem to have any of those, thank God. Because that could be another complication that I just don't know that I'm ready to deal with, like if they had parents or anything like that, like who are you going to be running into? So luckily he's a cousin, and I already know some about that side. I didn't know about his mother, because my grandmother and his mom were 20 years apart, 17 years apart.
Yeah, about that. Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Well, she was the youngest of either 13 or 14. We're still trying to figure that one out, but she was the baby.
Mm-hmm. My grandmother was born in 1920. And then your mother was born when?
1945.
So 25 years between the two of them. Yep. Or 23. My grandmother's 23, 1923. Forgive me. So that's what, 22 years between the two of them. So by the time the big, I don't know what you want to call this, the scene of all scenes inside the family happened, there was a divide that had happened. There had already been a lot of conflict on that side of the family with my grandmother's father and his children. From what I had heard, my grandfather's oldest brother, the oldest sibling, he had left home from having a row with his father, and nobody ever heard from him again. But the family was very, very spread out. And my grandmother, she was like a 1950s kind of person. We might as well have had petticoats. It was all about prim and proper and manners, and it's a different upbringing. But she disassociated herself with anybody that wasn't in the realm of being a good person. So that was a big thing for her. She just didn't want any of that stuff around her. So there was specific family members like Sarah, who she would say is she was a bad girl. She wasn't a good girl. She was no good. And as a matter of fact, we were going through my grandmother's phone book catalog. I think she wrote right next to Sarah's name was no good, something like that. It was funny. But the whole side of the family there was a lot going on. But
finding you and our relationship, and then
which I'm loving our relationship.
huh?
I'm loving our relationship. You're an awesome cousin. I have the most fun with you.
Indeed.
So,
because I'm a fun guy.
Well, we add a little spice to everything too, because I don't think there's ever a dull moment with us.
Nope. Not as long as Lily Green is around.
No, Lily Green definitely adds her own essence to the world.
Oh yeah. Yup.
She's a bit of an adventure, that is for sure. One of my two daughters, I have a son who's passed now, and we love him very dearly. And then I have two daughters who are Soraya, she's 10, and I have another daughter who is 8. Her name is Lily, and they are the light of my life. And so every time I call Cousin Charles, there's always something going on. He gets his dose of family.
Yep. She keep telling me, what? You say you wanted family, here it is.
Right?
Live.
And he'll be like, I got my dose and I'm going back to sleep. So, there's that.
Yep.
That's so funny. But that's how we got into this whole part of it. You know, where I wasn't looking for any more family, because I was at my limit with family. I feel blessed that I found the family that I have, because for one of the very first times, I'm really happy I have family, and I'm really excited to talk to my cousin. And then one of the perks is like when something's going on, I'm like, oh, you know what just happened in our family, cousin? I'm not by myself any longer, feeling crazy. I'm like, wait, you're a part of this. And he'll be like, really? But I don't hear really like 5 times in the conversation. We didn't really talk.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's how we got into it, and I couldn't be happier. I'm glad that we're making this podcast, because it's really important for people to get to know who they are. And more importantly, if we're Black in America, it's important for us to know who we are. It's important for us to know who our relatives are, because you don't want to find out that, as I've been going through this research on Lily's side, they had a whole situation on her paternal side one time with some of the cousins that I've talked to, where the family, the men in the family were rather robust with their lifestyle, and not all the children were known, and brother and sister that were half brother and sister almost got together. So those are things that are very real in being Black in America.
oh, you mean brown America, brown
in America, Los Angeles. But being brown in America is one of those things that we really need to sit down and think about. No, I'm not Spanish. I just have respect for cultures. I grew up in Southern Arizona, so that's one thing that I know about people is if you give them respect, they give it back. So.
Right.